Doing today? Welcome back to On the Ball. Welcome back to the last edition of Predict the Prem this season, where we're going to find out next week who our winner is going to be. At the moment, Sib is leading by 4 points going into the midweek fixtures. So we're going to review the fixtures and then get onto our predictions. 5 points for a completely correct scoreline, 1 point for a correct result on the start. Man, once you pick them, you can't pick them again for the rest of the season. 5 points for a goal, 2 points for an assist. And let's see how we got on in the midweek clashes. 4 fixtures to go through, starting off with an amazing game at Villa Park. Aston Villa 3, Liverpool 3. Sim went for 2-2. I went for 2-1 to Liverpool. So it looked like I was going to take points for the majority of the game, to be fair. But Villa, with a late comeback with Duran scoring twice in the latter stages of the game. But what a game of football this was.
Duran.
It
was an unbelievable finish from him. You have to say that Villa, you have to give them credit, because it did look like Liverpool were going to comfortably win that game. I thought Villa looked quite good going forward, but were quite lackluster when it came to how they were defending. And I thought Liverpool were finding it way too easy to get in on their back line. And once they went 3-1 up, I was like, I don't know if there's any way back for Villa here, because I don't think they like being in that situation when they're chasing the game like that and Liverpool could counter-attack. But given credit, Duran comes on, adds a different kind of physical presence, gets them back in the game with a brilliant finish from outside the box, and obviously a huge slice of luck with that goal right at the end to make it 3-3. And then in that last minute, Nunez had a chance, Diaby had a chance. It could have gone either way at the end, but a draw probably a fair result, and a great result for Aston Villa. Obviously, it wasn't the result that secured them top 4, but we know they are secured in top 4 now, and brilliant achievement from Unai Emery in a very difficult season when they've been in the Conference League. To be confirmed in the Champions League for next season is phenomenal, considering 18 months ago he took over from them. They were 3 points above the relegation zone, and Steven Gerrard was having a very bad time of it. So phenomenal job he has done at Aston Villa.
Yeah, it really is. And in terms of Liverpool, Klopp's second last game of the season, but I think the problems that plagued them in this game was pretty much the problems that has been there for the whole second half of the season, potentially the whole season, with the defensive frailties and way too easily to penetrate that back line. But what a game of football to watch for the neutral, that's for sure. And moving on to the next game, which was Tottenham against Man City. It finished 2-0 to Manchester City at the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium. Sim went for 2-1, I went for 3-1, so we both get a point on this one. And probably Tottenham's best performance in a while, probably since the Aston Villa game. Tried our hardest, but we just couldn't get over the line. I think the game really was a tale of the clinical front line from both teams. I think both teams came into this and played fairly well, but Man City are the ones that took their chances, and they have all but confirmed winning the title.
Well, they still got a bit of work to do. They need to beat West Ham, so it's going to be a big final day at the Etihad there. But big victory. Obviously, Spurs gave it their best shot. Really encouraging performance. Ange actually changed up a lot of things tactically and showed he does have a bit of flexibility in his play, and he does have a bit of a plan B, which he did in this game. Played a false 9, played Van der Ven left back, and it was a very encouraging display. Tottenham really took the game to Man City and created numerous chances, especially once Ortega came on. He made a number of crucial saves to make sure that Man City took the lead here. But Man City, they were the ones where I did feel like when they went forward and opened up Spurs, they did create real quality opportunities, and they had the quality to take advantage of it through the likes of De Bruyne and Erling Haaland and Phil Foden, who were absolutely brilliant throughout the game. But I think that game hinged on what was an unbelievable miss with 5 minutes to go. Heung-min-son one-on-one with the goalkeeper. 9 times out of 10 he scores that chance. He did it on this occasion, and then a couple of minutes later City go up the other end and get a penalty and seal the win. So crucial moment, and I think we'll probably look back at that moment at the end of the season thinking that was probably where the title swung at that point.
Yeah, it was a miss that from Heung-min-son that rattled the whole of the Arsenal fan base, which was incredible to see. But yeah, 1 point each on that one. Let's go on to last night's fixtures. Brighton against Chelsea, which finished 2-1 to Chelsea at the Amex. Sim went for 2-1, so he gets a 5-pointer here. I went for 2-2, and I was thinking maybe Brighton could get there in the end, because Reece James did get sent off, and Brighton really started to pile on the pressure after that, but they couldn't get more than one goal, and it was a really good game of football this. I thought Chelsea started the game the better of the two, but both teams did have their chances. But I think the first half, definitely Chelsea deserved to be in the lead. Brighton came back into it a little bit in the second half, but it was a bit little too late.
Yeah, I think Chelsea definitely deserved the points throughout the game. I thought they were the much better team. They were the ones who I thought were making all the running. Brighton looked a bit kind of toothless in the front line. I felt didn't have any cutting edge. I thought Chelsea were the ones really carving Brighton open when they had the opportunity. They defended a lot better as well. I thought the back line was really tight, and it wasn't, if it wasn't for that red card, they probably would have kept a clean sheet, I feel, actually. But they did get that goal back after what I thought was a stupid red card from Reece James. I don't know what he's thinking. He's on the floor and he kicks out of João Pedro,
channeling his inner David Beckham. Apparently,
I don't know what he's doing. It's such a silly thing to do for Reece James. Red card all day long for me. Brighton did get back in the game, but it was a bit too little too late. So brilliant win for Chelsea. That's 4 wins on the trot, and now they actually got a chance of sealing 5th on the final day, which you never would have thought that a few weeks ago.
Yeah, I mean, they've got to rely on Spurs losing at Sheffield United.
It's very unlikely. I'm not saying they will, but I'm just saying that the fact they're still with a chance to do so is quite surprising.
Yeah, and I've been saying all season, you stick with Pochettino, let him imprint his style of play. They've had mad injuries all season. Things are looking positive for Chelsea now. But the last game that we're going to talk about is Manchester United, Newcastle. Another really good game. It did finish 3-2 to Manchester United. Both of us went for Newcastle wins. I went 2-1, Sim went 3-1. This was a game that just toed and froed throughout the game. Man United go 1-0 up before half-time with Kobbie Mainoo, and I thought after that, Newcastle will probably come back into it strong in the second half, and they started the second half quite strong. They got that goal, but it just kept going up the other end, and it was like then by the end of, before stoppage time, I think it was like 3-1, wasn't it, to Manchester United. Lewis Hall gets one back just before on the 92nd minute mark, but it was too late for Newcastle, and I thought it was a game where either side could have won it, to be fair.
Yeah, definitely lots of chances at both ends, and I think it was a very open game, very end-to-end game, and I think Man United will feel like they probably just about deserved the victory with the chances that they did create. But I think, again, the game hinged on a really bad refereeing decision. I'm not sure if it was a 0-0 or 1-0 Man United. Gordon goes through on goal and gets absolutely clipped from Amrabat.
I don't know how that wasn't a penalty.
Ridiculous decision. How you can clearly see it was scraped down his Achilles. It was a terrible challenge from Amrabat, clear penalty, and I don't know why VAR didn't get involved in that. That wasn't given, and obviously Man United go on to win the game. But one player I want to mention just quickly is Amad Diallo, because he's started the last 2 games and he's looked a breath of fresh air, and it just goes to show, like, why has he not been playing for the whole season? They've been playing Anthony, who's been stinking the place out, where they've had this player in their squad available, and he's been brilliant the last couple of occasions, and he got a brilliant goal against in this one as well. I thought he played really well against Arsenal. He scored the winner against Liverpool in the FA Cup as well. So this kid has a lot of quality, and I just get the feeling like Man United have had him like ready and waiting this whole time, and they haven't used him.
Yeah, absolutely spot on. And another player that I thought played really well, and the best I've seen him play since joining Man United, is Sofyan Amrabat. I know he should have given away the penalty, but I thought he was so combative throughout. He didn't give Newcastle a second to rest on the ball. I thought he was really impressive as well. But star men, Sim went for Noni Madueke, I went for Nick Jackson. Sim messaged me before the game saying, I bet you neither of these players get anything at this, and that's exactly how it panned out. So you gave them both the curse.
I did, unfortunately, although Jackson went for one-on-one with that chance, tried to square it, don't know what he was thinking, and also he had a goal ruled out from VAR, didn't he? So it was a bit unlucky. So
2 weeks in a row, I got Gordon ruled out for VAR, and Nick Jackson ruled out for VAR as well. But 10 points is the gap now. Sim's opened up a bit of a lead going into the last weekend of the season. Obviously, everyone kick off at the same time, Sunday, 4 o'clock. A few things to be decided. The title race needs to be decided. Champions League is done. Europa League needs to be decided. But there are heavy favourites in these races. Tottenham only need a point away at Sheffield United to claim that. And Man City, if they win at home to West Ham, they claim the title as well. So, I mean, there is stuff to play for on the last day, but I feel like it's like one of the most boring last days that we've had in a while.
Well, title's still there. It can't be boring if the title's on the line, for me.
Yeah, I guess. But let's go on to our predictions. Arsenal against Everton. Sim has gone for 3-0. I have gone for 5-0. Why 3?
Yeah, I think it's going to be a convincing victory for Arsenal. Obviously, they know what they need to do. They need to win this game. Knowing that Man City beat Spurs in midweek, I can't see them... I think, I'm not saying the shackles are going to be off, but I think they're going to have very much kind of conviction in what they're doing. They've been playing very well recently. I can't see Everton holding them out, so I went for a 3-0 convincing win.
Yeah, both these sides actually are on really good form. But this is at home, last game of the season. They know they need to win this if they've got any hope of Man City slipping up in terms of the title. Everton, they've been brilliant at Goodison, but away from home, they're still quite poor, to be fair. And I think that Everton know they've been safe for a while, and I think they'll come into this game just going through the motions, I think, just to get through the game. And I think Arsenal will take full advantage of that. I've seen so many times Arsenal the last day of the season at home against these kind of oppositions that have nothing to play for. They absolutely take them to the cleaners. And I think this one will be absolutely no different. So I think 5-0 to Arsenal, but the title will stay in Manchester, in my opinion. Moving on to Brentford against Newcastle. We've gone for conflicting scorelines here. Sim's gone for 2-1 to Brentford. I've gone for 2-1 to Newcastle. Newcastle, no, they need to win this, I think, with any hope of European football next season, even however unlikely it is. Brentford, on the other hand, I just find that Brentford such a weird team to assess. Sometimes they play well, sometimes they don't. Even when they do play well, sometimes they don't get the result on the board. And I think that Newcastle can pick them off a little bit here with the likes of Anthony Gordon, Alexander Isak. They haven't been good away from home in recent weeks, but I still feel with something still left to play for Newcastle, they'll just about get over the line. But I see it being a very tight game.
Yeah, I went for 2-1 to Brentford. I think Brentford are set up to really combat what Newcastle give quite well. They're going to clog up the central areas. They're going to make sure that Gordon and Isaac can't get in that kind of space that they like to get. And with Mbeumo and Tony and Wissa going the other end, the more Newcastle push up, I feel like Brentford will be able to catch them out. Obviously, their last home game of the season as well. I can see them really putting in a performance. And I think Newcastle looked a bit tired to me on near the end of the game. I thought against Man United. And Gordon, I don't know if he's going to be fit for this game with that injury he picked up. So I've gone for a 2-1 win to Brentford.
Brighton against Manchester United at the Amex. Sim's gone for 1-0 to Brighton here.
Yeah, I see Brighton dominating possession. Obviously, Man United are getting ready for an FA Cup final as well, so I don't know what kind of team they're going to put out. I don't see a massively entertaining game. I think Brighton will dominate, but because they're lacking cutting edge, I don't see them scoring loads of goals. I think Man United are going to be a bit lackluster in this one, so I've only gone for 1-0 to Brighton. Yeah,
I've gone for 2-1 to Brighton. I think just the way Brighton play, they do leave themselves fairly exposed sometimes, but they are usually strong at the Amex. Having said that, I think they've lost 3 out of their last 4 games at the Amex, all against good sides: Chelsea, Arsenal, Manchester City. But with this Manchester United side, I think Europe's dead for them, isn't it?
Man United? Well, not necessarily.
What's the situation there?
It goes down to goal difference potentially. They're in 8th. They're if they finish what is 7th Europe, because 1 sec, they're level on points with Newcastle. They're 3 points behind Chelsea. The goal difference is
terrible.
-3 is
they got no chance.
But don't finish 7th.
Oh, they can finish 7th, fair. But I still think that they're going to have one eye on the cup final. They've got a cup final to play next week against Man City, and I think all their attention is going to be over there. And I think Brighton are going to want to put on a bit of a show for their home fans in their last game of the season. So I could see Man United going there, maybe putting up a little bit of a fight, but I don't think it will be enough. I think Brighton will have a bit too much from Manchester United this weekend. And I feel like, I think Man United have failed to win at Brighton in their last 2 or 3 games there. So I'm going for 2-1 to Brighton. Next up is Burnley against Nottingham Forest. I've gone for 1-1 in this game. Both these teams have nothing to play for. Burnley know they're down. Nottingham Forest know they're safe. And I just feel like both teams are going to go out there just with the last game of the last day of the season feel with nothing to play for, really. And I think, they'll both give it a go, but I just feel like both of them will cancel each other out. I think Burnley will actually have the better of the game because the shackles will be completely off. They'll have nothing to fear. And I've got a feeling they could split the spoils here at 1-1.
Yeah, I've just gone for 2-1 to Forest. I think they've just got the quality over Burnley in the forward lines to make the difference here. And I do agree the shackles will be off for Burnley, and I think that could suit Forest as well with how they like to approach games and how they like to attack. Obviously, mathematically, they technically do need a point to mathematically be safe, albeit they will need a 13-goal swing to go against them to be relegated with a loss here. But I do see them ending the season with a win, and I think the way Burnley plays is going to suit them, and the likes of Elanga, Gibbs-White will really take advantage. I'm going for 2-1 to Forest.
And next up, we go to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge against Bournemouth. Sim's gone for 3-1 to Chelsea.
Yeah, I think they're going to end the season really strongly. I thought they've had a really strong end to the season, to be fair, off the back of 4 consecutive wins. I think Poch's really starting to get his act together in terms of getting this Chelsea side to gel. They're looking really potent in the forward line all of a sudden. They're creating chances at will. Their pressing is really effective all of a sudden at the moment, is what I'm seeing. They're pressing teams into oblivion. They're being very, very hard to deal with. And they're really surrounding the attackers as well when they go forward. I do see Bournemouth getting them some trouble, but I think Chelsea are on a roll at the moment, so I think that good feeling is going to carry on here.
Yeah, I've gone for 4-1. I've been impressed with Chelsea, man, in the last few weeks, even more than that. As you say, Pochettino is really getting the groove, getting into the groove now, and I think last game of the season, in front of the fans at Stamford Bridge, he's going to leave their fans with something to look forward to and feeling really hopeful for next season against a Bournemouth side with absolutely nothing to play for now. So I've gone for 4-1 to Chelsea at Stamford Bridge. Next up is Crystal Palace against Aston Villa. We've gone for the exact same scoreline here in 3-1 to Crystal Palace, which would have left the door open for Tottenham if they did win against Manchester City. But I just feel with Villa basically on a party mode at the moment after making the Champions League for the first time in a very long time. You saw how the players were celebrating in midweek after the Man City Spurs game. So I feel Crystal Palace will take advantage of that, and they're playing really well as well at the moment, one of the form teams in the Premier League. So I feel Crystal Palace will beat Aston Villa here at Selhurst Park.
Yeah, I feel like even if Villa were at their very best and motivated to get a result here, I still think it would have been difficult for them to get a result. I think if they were looking for a draw, they might have got it. But the fact that they're now on the beach, I saw them popping the champagne on Tuesday. I think their game is done. They know that they're getting Champions League now. They've got nothing to play for here, and they're going to be playing one of the form teams in the Premier League at the moment. And even on their best day, I feel like they would have struggled to contain Olise and Eze. And I don't think they're going to be on their best on Sunday now after already confirming CL. So I've gone for a Palace 3-1 win here.
Liverpool against Wolves at Anfield. Klopp's last game for Liverpool, and it looks like we both think it's going to be a battering against Wolves. And yeah, Wolves have been on the beach for a while now. The way Liverpool are playing, I mean, they're always good for a few goals. They're always good to concede a few goals, and I think they're going to put on a show for Klopp's last game. I think the players are going to be well up for it. The fans are going to be well up for it as well. Neither of these sides have anything to play for, but I just think it's going to be one of those Liverpool performances where the shackles are completely off and goals are going to flow.
Yeah, I think everyone's going to be piling forward at every attacking move. I think everyone's going to be completely going for it. I think everyone's going to want to give Klopp the best send-off possible, and I see this game raining goals, to be honest. I also see Wolves creating opportunities. I see Wolves on the counter-attack, also how getting in on the act, getting in on the fun, because I'm sure it's going to be a bit of a laissez-faire attitude from Liverpool about defending. I envisage in this one. So I see a lot of goals. I've gone for a 5-2 victory to Liverpool.
Luton against Fulham. Luton know they're down. Fulham also don't have anything to play for. Sim's gone for 3-2 to Fulham.
Yeah, I know Luton's last game in the Premier League this season, albeit if they do win by a significant margin and Forest lose, I think if it's 6-0 each way, I think they got a chance of staying up. But I don't think that's realistic. But I'm sure
even if it's 6-0 each way, it won't. Isn't it a 13-goal swing?
6-0 each way. It is a 12-goal swing.
Oh, it's 12.
12-goal swing. So
who scored more?
Who scored more? Luton have scored more.
Interesting. So 6-0, 6-0.
6-0 loss for Forest and a 6-0 win for Luton would do it. I don't think that's really possible. I do see Luton going for it. I do see Luton. They've been brave all season, so I do see a really offensive performance. But obviously, Fulham are a smart team. I see them exploiting them, but I also see a bit of an open game with Fulham got nothing really to play for. So I've gone for a 3-2 win to Fulham. Yeah,
I feel like Luton are just going to try and put on a show for their fans in the last game of Premier League football for at least a season. And with Adebayo back in the team, they've got that focal point up there. And with Fulham away from home, you know, they haven't been good pretty much all season away from home, and I think Luton are going to be really aggressive. I think Luton actually are going to be up for this one, and I think it might be a bit too much for Fulham, but Fulham do have that quality where they can pick Luton off at the other end against a poor Luton defence. So I've gone to split the spoils at 2-2, but I do think Luton will be maybe the more impressive team out of the two. Man City against West Ham, a game that could seal the title for Manchester City in the last game. Sim has gone for 4-1, I've gone for 5-1, and West Ham have taken quite a few batterings this season. And I feel like this is going to be another one. I think Man City will be a bit too hot to handle. They know how to navigate these situations so well. And Moyes' last game, maybe they want to put on a bit of a show for him, but I just feel like it's a bit inevitable what's going to happen in this game, and it's going to be an absolute battering at the hands of West Ham.
Yeah, I think, Matt, you can't stop Man City in this situation. I do think there'll be a bit of tension on the day, and I do think, West Ham are the kind of team who have the tools to hurt Man City with the likes of Bowen and Kudus and Antonio. They're not an easy team, but I think once they get into the lead, I can't see Man City letting it up. And as much as I think there'll be a few scary moments, like there's always a bit of drama on final day, I do think Man City will come away and comfortably win at the end. And I think at the end it is going to be a 4-1 victory for West Ham, for Man City.
And the last game of the weekend is Sheffield United against Spurs. What have you gone for?
I've gone for 2-1 to Spurs.
2-1 to Spurs?
Yeah.
I've gone for 3-1 to Spurs. I think, we saw Ange Postecoglou change it up on the weekend, on the midweek against Manchester City. Spurs have quite a good performance, and I feel like we'll take a bit of confidence from that game in the way we played, and we'll go to Sheffield United, and against a Sheffield United team who have been down for a while, so open at the back. And yeah, Spurs haven't been at their best going forward, and a clinical edge has seemed to have diminished second half of the season, but I feel against this Sheffield United team we will be a bit too strong for them.
Yeah, I think we'll win. I think, to be fair, Sheffield United in a weird way, they've in recent weeks they've lost a lot of games, but I do see them actually being a lot more of a threat and creating more chances than they have earlier in the season. So I don't expect the easiest of games. I do expect a bit of trouble with Sheffield United, but I do think Spurs should have enough quality to get over the line. I don't see it being a complete walkover, but I see Tottenham getting the job done and winning 2-1 here.
All right, and last but not least, it is the star men, the last star men of the season. Sim has gone for Cody Gakpo.
Yeah, against Liverpool for Klopp's last game. It could be a goal fest. Anything could happen. There can be strange things happening in that game. So Cody Gakpo's been starting up front for the last few games. I expect him to get another start here. I think he scored in the last game as well. So I've gone for him.
Yeah, there is a chance Darwin Núñez starts the last game for Klopp. What do you reckon?
I think Gakpo scored last game. I think
he scored twice in a row, to be fair, two games in a row. I have gone for Mateta of Crystal Palace, a man in red-hot form since Oli Glasner has joined Crystal Palace. We've both predicted Crystal Palace to win by 3-1, so you got to expect Mateta to be in the thick of the action there. I was trying to decide whether to go to Mateta. My three front runners for this weekend were Mateta, Olise, and Gakpo, but I just sided with Mateta in the end. So yeah, that is it. That is our last Predict the Prem of the season. Let me know what your predictions are. Let me know who you think will come out on top this week. Thank you, everyone, for joining us. Like, subscribe, and comment, and we'll see you next